Hello, my beautiful friends. Welcome back to the show. Today, I am super excited to dive into today's conversation with Kristen Coberly. Now, Kristen has lived in Pensacola, Florida, and the surrounding areas her entire life. She is married to the love of her life, Josh, and has made a beautiful life with him and their 7 children. She began her photography journey 7 years ago, photographing her children, but now can be found photographing clients along Northwest Florida's Gulf Coast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us who you are and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, so pretty much like you said, I am a wife and a mom to 7 children. They're actually all 8 years old and younger. So they're all just like stair steppers in there in a very short period of time. So,
Yep.
and so since there's so many of them, there's really not a lot of time for me to do other things. So that's pretty much, I invest my time in them, which I absolutely love. It's not one of those things that I, hate or, regret. It's something I enjoy. And so even whenever I'm doing photography stuff, if I'm editing or answering emails, I have a child of some sort in my lap. And that's why I think this job works so well for me. So I've been doing photography for 7 years, but really didn't decide to say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to put my all into it until about March of 2022. I have photographed a bunch of different clients in different moments, different locations, and have just found that my heart is totally into families, especially those with multiple young children that kind of mirror what I deal with on a regular basis. And being on the beach, that just happens to be where I absolutely love taking the pictures. So that's where
so much.
I've decided to put my passion and my specialty. So
I love that. So how young is the youngest one?
yeah, so she is 3 months old.
Oh, she's pretty. So pretty.
Yeah, she's
that.
still really little. So
Yeah, I love
I
that.
adore her.
I did a session this past fall with my clients. It was their 7th baby, and oh gosh, it's just, and I think they're all 2 years apart. So
Yeah.
I think they're a little, their spread's a little bit wider. Actually, maybe
Yep.
not. Maybe a year and a half apart. But oh gosh, what a beautiful family. And I love big families. So I love that your specialty is actually working with big families too, and beach sessions, because both of those have some wild and crazy variables. So can you maybe share some of your favorite tips for working with larger families?
Yeah, so pretty much the goal of any session, no matter the family size, but especially with large families, is just to try to provide a stress-free experience, And one of those ways during the session is to keep everybody moving. That's kind of something that I've noticed is whenever there's a lot of dead time or a lot of, hey, please look at me and smile, that doesn't go very well, I mean, we've got a bunch of components, a bunch of moving parts. And I mean, you can imagine trying to get 2 kids to look at a camera. And when you add 7, that adds a little bit more stress. And then the parents sit back going, they're probably not all going to look at you. And then they start getting stressed and they start focusing more on, hey, look at the camera. Hey, look at the camera. Stay right here. And so I have just found that if you just keep everybody moving, then everybody has a fun time. And within that, it's just really important to give prompts that are specific. So, one time I got out there and I was like, all right, guys, let's play games. Let's do it. And then I sat back and the middle boy jumped on top of the older boy and they started wrestling. And before I knew it, the littlest one was on top of them. Parents were like, no, stop. This is not how this is supposed to go. And I, of course, was in a panic, but I have found that if you give more direct instructions and say, hey, we're going to play red light, green light. And so we're giving them boundaries to be themselves within those. That really just makes for a better time for the photographer, for the parents, and for the kids. They have fun and parents are not stressed, as well as myself. I don't leave going, oh my gosh, I just had kids tackling each other because I asked them to, even though I didn't say wrestle, they did exactly what I asked them to. In their minds, playing games was wrestling with each other. So that's my biggest thing, is just keep people moving. Another one that I think is just really special is know their name. And this may not seem like this awesome tip or whatever, but we sit back and with our smaller families, we take the time and we take the effort to know, you know, the kids' names. And then when we see a list of 7 or we see a list of 9 and the numbers get bigger, it's like, okay, that's a little too much. We're not going to even attempt it. And
Yeah.
for me, I've really just seen with my large family clients that the moment that you call them by name, it really just sparks something in them that all of a sudden they like are happy to be there.
Yes.
Everywhere our large family clients go, they're a number. They walk through the grocery store, they're being counted. People are always like, oh my gosh, are they all yours? And that really starts to become a part of their identity. You know, they're just one of whatever the family's name or family's name is, excuse me. So whenever I come out and I meet them at their vehicle and I'm like, you know, Blake, and call them, their eyes light up and they're like, you know my name. I've had kids say that. You know my name. Yes, I do. And right there, the session just goes so much smoother. They want to have a fun time because all of a sudden they're an individual to you, and that already makes their experience better. So that's just something that I have seen that makes my sessions run so much better. So, and then lastly is the biggest thing that I like to tell people is don't try to change the chaos. Let the chaos change you. And I mean, it's a large family. There's chaos. I mean, any family that's got more kids than 2 tries to tell you their family life isn't chaotic. They're lying to you. There is chaos, you know, but it's still beautiful chaos. It's still something that the parents obviously love, or they wouldn't have kept having children. And so the biggest thing is to come in and be like, all right, where is this chaos at? What is this family dynamic? Like how is this family dynamic feeling? And then you jump into that and you just become a part of it instead of like, all right, guys, this is what I need you to do. So those are pretty much the biggest things that I've seen.
It's especially the name recognition, and like, because really like one of our basic human needs is to be recognized and to be seen. And when you have so many siblings, like it is, especially as a middle child, like you kind of just feel like you're just there, and maybe just like, or people are always screwing up your name because they're calling you your younger sibling or your older sibling. And so when someone gets it right, you're like, oh, this person cares about me. And so they're gonna respond to you as the photographer so differently than if you're like, hey, number 5, right? Like,
Exactly. And even like, and kids, they offer so much grace naturally, you know? So when they get out of the car, and it's easier then because they're all kind of lined up. We're not all like running around at that point. And when you get it the first time, then during the session, if you do mess up, which is totally fine, the kids are like, oh wait, I'm so-and-so, you know, you got it wrong, but that's okay, you know? And it's just really special and something I enjoy. And I even get, you know, just a little bit of joy from it, seeing that they find joy in it as well.
I have clients and they just had their 5th baby as well. And I love them. And it's funny because mom loves like that one picture where everybody's looking at the camera. But I also know she loves the outtakes too. And like, I have some of the best outtakes, and I'll send her little videos and little snippets of like while I'm editing. I'm like, can you believe this? She's like, please just make sure that you give me those too. So is giving outtakes to your clients something that you incorporate too? Because those are my favorites, honestly.
I 100% do, because a lot of the times the outtakes show the kid's personality.
Yep.
And that is a way that it shows the individuality within each person. And so I offer soft proof, so I will include all of them that I think is good that shows personality. One time I had a kid flying in the air and I totally included that. And sometimes parents pick them, sometimes they don't, but I always give them the option to do so.
Oh shoot, we just froze.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay. It's weird. It's like rolling freezing. So it's okay. So you said one kid flying through the air.
Yeah. And so I included that one. And so I always give them the option to choose it, even if they end up not. So
yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so funny. I had this one time, and we went down to the beach, and this toddler was running, and she was like going full steam, and I caught the shot where she went and face planted, and the dad was like, and the mom is like, we have that on our wall. Like, that is the funniest picture, right? Like, and I'm like, these are my people.
I think that's great.
I love that. So, with beach sessions, let's talk about those wild and crazy windy days. Hair whipping everywhere. Do you embrace it or do you reschedule?
So there, in my opinion, is two types of wind in Florida. There's the typical beach wind that you're always going to have, and it even can be a little gustier on times. We don't reschedule with that. We embrace it. We go with it. The moment we choose to take pictures on the beach, we know the wind's going to be there. But we also have that tropical system wind that will, pick up and sand will be pelting you and the waves are crashing at a height that is terrifying. And at
Yeah.
that point, I just don't consider that safe anymore and I will reschedule for those. And that can happen even if we don't have a system heading our way. There can just be a system in the Gulf going to different areas and it can really affect how our climate is here. So definitely reschedule for those type of situations.
So, how often do you end up with clients in the water at the
Yeah,
beach?
yeah, I leave that up to them. I end up in the water 100% of the time,
Yeah.
but I always leave it up to them whether they want to get in the water. I love water shots. So yeah, I get a lot of tourists as my clients, and for whatever reason, they love going out to eat, right? Everyone loves going out to eat for a vacation, but they save it for after the photo shoot. And so they don't want to go out to eat soaking wet. And I totally don't blame them. So I really try to put a bug in their ear when I have my pre-session phone call with them. I'm like, so be thinking about getting in the water. And then that way they know, to either be prepared or to tell me absolutely not.
I love that. I think so. My son, when he was about maybe 3, anytime he saw, like, because we live up with areas with lakes, anytime he would see a body of water, he would take off running straight towards it, and he couldn't swim yet. So we were like, "Oh my gosh, like just stop!"
I have one of those. She was obsessed
No
with
fear.
Moana growing up. And so she literally, like at 2 years old, would just go straight for the ocean and expect it just to, I guess, open its arms to
Stop.
her, So, yeah, we had to watch her really close.
So funny. So, what is your business model? Are you IPS, digital, hybrid model? And can you maybe share why you made that decision and what's working for you right now?
Yeah, so right now I am hybrid. I did just start that in January of this year, so haven't had a lot of it because my busy season as a beach photographer is mainly May through July. So I've been in kind of my dead time. But yeah, I chose to go with it just because, like all photographers, we want to see that artwork printed off. We want those memories to be able to be passed down. And we're in a digital world where that doesn't really happen. And so I'm really trying to encourage my clients to have them printed off and not just printed off from those fast printing labs where, it's not going to actually last through time, but actual heirloom quality type items. And right now, I haven't seen a lot of people to go that option because how I decided to go with it is that I have one package that has all digitals and it's only like 10 digitals. So it's super small, just mainly for people who are just wanting to update their family pictures. And then my middle and top ones include print credit with it. And so I've noticed that a lot of tourists are mainly steering towards that smaller one to get digitals. And whenever I provide my soft proof gallery, they're upgrading their galleries and buying more images. So I'm seeing that I don't think it's a financial decision that they're going with the digitals. I just don't think we're in a generation that really appreciates printed artwork the way that I think we should. So I'm trying to think on ways to hopefully open that up and see people and allow people to see what the benefit of printed artwork really is. So, but from May to August-ish, I'll be able to see if more people pick that and how that goes. So we're just testing it right now.
That's awesome. I just started adding albums. I've been all digital for like, like 14 years. And so I've just rechanged my business where I'm actually doing all digital, but I'm also including an album. That's just like in the package.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I found these beautiful albums from Wooden Banana. And I don't know if you've heard of them. They
I
actually,
have not.
yeah, they are like velvet covered albums and they are gorgeous. And they're actually like not overly that expensive and amazing quality. And it's taken me forever to like add a product because I'm so picky. But I'm really, really happy with Wooden Banana. So if you're looking for an album designer or design or album company, it was really good. And I think it had free shipping too. And I'm in Canada, so that was cool. All right.
Oh, I'll definitely check it out because, I mean, one of the things too is that printed pictures make my heart happy too.
Yeah.
And so it, to me, one of my favorite things is whenever people are just posting pictures on Facebook randomly of their house, and I'll be
Yeah.
scrolling through and be like, I took that picture. Like they thought it was awesome enough to print it off. And so, you know, one of those things that just would really make my day as a photographer to see it all printed out and be able to deliver it to them and be like,
Exactly.
here is your artwork, you know, so.
What I just recently did is I got myself a really fairly inexpensive digital photo frame. And because I had so many like images just on my phone, like everywhere, nothing was ever printed because obviously I'm a photographer and I will do that last for my family, right?
Right.
So I ended up getting this digital frame, and oh my gosh, like my son goes through it every single day. Like he is obsessed with it. He's 14 and he's just like goes through and like, 'cause you can swipe through it. And I was like, you know, like I wish there was like a fairly inexpensive, like a $30 or $40 digital frame that we could like just create these for our clients where they'd have like just like
That
a
would be
digital.
so cool.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
Oh my goodness.
So I've been trying to source like a good quality, fairly inexpensive digital photo frame where I could do something like that. So that's like kind of what I'm working on. But right? Like because
Yeah,
then
that
we have something, right?
that idea is like spectacular. Like that
you.
is incredible. I love it. I absolutely love it.
But like right now, like I can only find them for like, you know, maybe $100. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish they were like $30, $40. Like that seems like I could build it into my pricing and then buy like in bulk and then have it loaded up and like give that. Now you have your session.
Yeah.
And, right? I just think that would be so fun.
I agree with that. I think that's
Just a different way, just a
fantastic.
different way of doing it. Yeah. So I'm such a little weirdo.
No, I think that's awesome. And thinking outside the box to be able to see the need in this digital world, but also
Yeah.
know that the pictures need to be displayed and being able to mesh those two, I think that's genius. That's not weird at all. So
Yep.
you're welcome.
So do you have a shot list when you go on location? And how important to you is it that you have a plan? Because I feel so much more calm when I actually plan things out a little prior. So what is your approach when it comes to your sessions?
Yeah, so I'm a huge planner, but to a fault. So I don't roll with the punches well. So early on in my photography career, I realized that fault is a huge deal whenever you are coming up with an exact plan for your photography sessions and expecting the little people in our families to go along with that. So I like to look at it. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these books where you read the first chapter and then it's like, all right, you get to decide what happens next in the story. And so that's what I like to think of my sessions as, that it's almost like this giant flow chart that, you know, once we, like for the book example, you know, you read the first chapter and it's like, okay, do you want Annie to go on the Ferris wheel or do you want Annie to go on the merry-go-round? And then, you know, you get to choose that and then you go on, and at the end of the story, you have pretty much created the end, but it's within the author's imagination realm, you know? So that's kind of how I view my sessions, which now I'm the weirdo, but that I have this story that needs to be told, which is the family story, and I'm keeping them within this realm, but allowing them to have these choices and guide me where we're going.
Yeah.
But overall, we're going to have the same ending. So we're going to have a gallery that's going to be pretty. So that's how I kind of just see it.
Oh, we froze again.
Oh no!
Sorry. Yes, you just froze. Guide me where we're going.
Yeah, so I just have them guide me where we're going with that. But the overall idea is I'm coming in with a very loose plan, like a flow chart of, okay, is the kid feeling cuddly today? Yes, then this is what we're going to do. Are they feeling energetic today? Then this is what we're going to do. So I have different prompts, poses, shots in my mind, but in reality, I just kind of go with the flow with what we're going with. But I don't come in just like, I have nothing planned. We're just going to, you know, I have ideas. We have an outline. We have that flow chart in my brain. But I'm not going to come in and be like, this is exactly how it's going to go. We will get this shot and this is how we're going to do it, you know, so. things like that.
I love that. You have sparked a little idea there that I just wrote down, and I'm not going to share yet. But I got a good idea.
I'll have to hear it later. That's awesome.
I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna work on it. You know, like when you just get like all of a sudden, like you just like get like a glimmer of inspiration on something. You're like, oh my gosh, now I have to map this out on a paper, but I have an idea. So good. So let's talk a little bit about uncooperative kids. Now, it happens to all of us at some point. So what do you do when a session starts to go sideways or you just aren't getting what you hoped for?
Yeah, so I have found that most of the time the uncooperation is coming from little ones, the ones that are about 3 and below. So to help kind of curb that, in my pre-session calls with my clients, I really drive this idea of sand, nap, snacks. And with that, since I deal with a lot of tourists and a lot of vacationers, their toddlers have never seen the ocean. They have never seen, which we're the Gulf of Mexico. It's not technically the ocean, but it all looks the same from the viewpoint of sitting on the beach. And they've never seen sand. So then most of the time they schedule their photo shoot with me the first night they're there, so sunburns don't happen. And the first time that they get to stick their toes into all of this is during our session. And for toddlers, that can be extremely overstimulating. And so that is something I really drive as like, hey, find a park that's got sand, find a neighbor with sandbox, and put them in it. Make them get dirty in it so that that is just one less thing that can trigger a meltdown. The next thing is a nap. A lot of the times on vacations, we skip nap time, which is totally fine. But I just remind them that on the day of the photo session, please don't do that. Especially if we happen to be, going to the beach all day during, they're going to be really tired and worn out from the sun. The beach sun is not like any other sun that they've experienced. And so when we skip nap, well, now they're tired. And I know how I get when I'm tired, and we can't expect the little people in our life to act differently whenever they're tired, And so that's a big thing. And then the other one is snack. Like I mentioned beforehand, a lot of my clients like to eat dinner after the session so they can go sit down and enjoy the beach cuisine, which is great. But then they forget about the little tummies. And so I let them know, please feed a pretty hefty snack before you come to the session. And so I have found that by really mentioning these things to my clients ahead of time, it's eliminated a lot of the meltdowns that I've had. Now, of course, they still happen. Thankfully, I've only had about 2 of those happen since I started really driving the sand nap snack situation. And the children did scream the entire time. They kicked, they were losing their minds. It was, but thankfully, I was able to just let the parents know, hey, we're seeing the whole picture. This is like a video happening, and we're seeing every single second. We're seeing the kicks, we're seeing the screams. I'm like, but a picture is just a second in time. He has to take a breath. She has to, for a second, stop screaming. She's gonna, for a moment, stop kicking. And those in-between moments really do, in picture form, look beautiful, especially when we're looking for the lifestyle kind of vibe and stuff. And so that's what I really just drive home. And I let them know ahead of time as well, and continue to remind them throughout the session is don't panic. Don't get frustrated, because for some reason we can see frustration in adults' faces a whole lot better than in children's faces. Exactly. And so we're going to get those in-between moments. We're going to get you a nice gallery that you're going to be able to look back on. It may not look what you thought in your brain was going to happen, but it's still going to be authentic to your family. Normally when toddlers have meltdowns on the beach for their session, they have meltdowns on a regular basis. That's just the stage of life that they're in. And we're here to embrace that. And we're here to capture the authenticity that this family is offering. And so I just let them know it's going to be fine. And then I just hold that shutter button down, because I'm going to miss the in-between moments possibly too. So I just hold it down, keep on clicking. And every time I've been able to thankfully be able to give a gallery, and I can't take full credit for it, but it happens. So.
I know there's been a few sessions that I was just like, I don't even know who took those photos, because how did I make a gallery out of that?
Exactly. Exactly. There was one out of the two where I literally all the way to the beach, because I do live about an hour away, and I'm driving home, and the whole time just like, I pray I got something good. I pray I got something good, because even though I was telling the parents it's going to be okay, like I'm sure we got something, I did not know.
No,
I was not sure. So
yeah. You're like, hope
but
I
it all
can make
turned out.
something with this, right? Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
So
I mean,
it all
worst
went
case
down.
scenario, I might have to head swap, right?
Exactly. That's why you take so many, so that you have
Yeah.
content to be able to make those composites.
Yeah, seriously. Now, do you have a go-to never fail prompt that maybe encourages emotional connection?
Yes, so I don't know if it's one that I should say I'm proud of or not, but I'll tell everybody to look at a certain member of the family. Normally it's like dad or maybe big brother, and I say, all right, look at them and say, you smell funny. And the initial response, that's not what I want, because, you know, the little kids will laugh, but normally our teenagers are like, this lady is insane. But it's the look of each other going, she's insane, that creates them to laugh. And then that's the moment that I get. So it's not so much that my prompt works for the way that it's intended, but it gets emotion every single time.
Love it. I love it.
So
good. All right, you ready for our lightning round?
yeah.
Okay, so what 3 things do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered that I love Jesus with all of my heart, that I love my husband and my children, and that I love others. Those are the 3 things that I really want to be remembered for.
I love that. If you like to cook, what do you like to cook the most?
So I don't know if it counts as cooking because it's more baking, but homemade blueberry muffins.
Ooh, yes.
Yep. That's my favorite to make and then eat afterwards.
I love that. I've been gluten-free for 8 years, and I just found some amazing gluten-free flour. And you've inspired me, because I'm going to make gluten-free blueberry muffins this weekend.
Well, just
them in
think
so
of me.
long. Yes,
They're
I will.
good.
Oh my gosh. Love it. If you have a favorite movie, what's your favorite movie?
So Pride and Prejudice.
Ooh,
It's a
yes.
classic, and my husband hates it, but I just love it. I can watch it every week. I can.
Yeah. I feel that way with Emma. Like, I love like anything with like Regency, or are you a Bridgerton? Do you like Bridgerton?
I have never seen it. I probably should.
Yeah, you'll binge watch it. It's so good. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
A doctor. And actually went into college and was in the middle of the bachelor classes to make my way there before I decided that being a mom was actually where I wanted to go.
Oh,
So
I love that. Favorite guilty or not so guilty pleasure?
oh my goodness, it is yogurt covered pretzels. I don't know why, but they have my heart recently. I can be sitting there editing and I have to put the bag away because I'll just start mindlessly popping them in as I'm editing. It's bad, but yeah.
I love it. Where do you feel most centered and happy?
Sitting in my yard watching my husband and kids play. Like, that to me is just what brings me the most joy in this life. There's something about their laughter and something about watching my husband be a dad, which was his dream all along. I was over there dreaming about being a doctor, and he wanted to be a dad, and just being able to watch that play out has been the
I
best
love
thing.
that.
So
That's so great. What advice do you have for someone just starting out in photography?
yeah, so I think the best thing is just, don't give up. And that seems so cheesy. But we see this statistic where photographers, they do quit after 2 years. But then we also see this statistic that photographers become the most successful after 2 years. And so the moment you feel like quitting, that's when everyone does. If you keep pushing on, the success is coming and the clients are coming. You're going to feel confident in where you're at. And so that could be, that's pretty much what I would say, is just keep on going. The success will come.
I love that. What's been the best piece of business advice you've ever been given?
Yeah, so be consistent. That, even it's what you do during the dead times is what determines your positive times. And so that for me, I like to be in my feelings and my emotions. And whenever I see things, not going so well, I'm like, all right, that's it. That's my cue. I need to give up, and being able to just move past that and just consistently do your marketing, consistently do your model calls, even whenever you may not have things lined up for the future. Those are the moments that define that future.
Yeah, I love that. So where can our listeners learn more from you?
Yeah, so my website, KristenKoberlyPhotography.com, and then I have a Facebook page and an Instagram account, Kristen Koberly Photography, on those as well.
Awesome. And can you share what you're going to be teaching on for the online family retreat?
Yeah, I'm sure they can probably guess it, but I'll be talking about capturing the beauty of large families and just talking about styling, how to organize the sessions to where they're stress-free, and then I'll be showing a behind the scenes video of photographing a family of a family of 8 with 7 children, and then editing those images as well.
Love that. So I love to end my interviews just with this last question, and it is, what are you currently curious about or artistically curious about?
Yeah, so I honestly don't have anything, but that was really that's kind of sad to me, because that means that I'm not letting myself have those creative moments and those creative times. So it's something that I definitely want to branch out in and really start thinking about, and really giving myself the time and the space to do that, because that's what keeps us rolling in this business. It's what helps keep burnout from happening, and it's what keeps us centered in the midst of it. So that's something I really want to start focusing on.
I love that. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, my beautiful friends, I hope you have loved this interview just as much as I have. I am sending you so much of my light and my love today and every single day. We will see you next time.